Hey, what's up, kid? Today I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how I like to process some of my images. We're going to actually work on a galaxy today. I'm going to try to keep it somewhat brief, but I'm going to show you all the steps from stacking to processing over in Photoshop. And keep in mind, I am a busy dude. I've got 2 little kids. I've got a job. I don't have all the time in the world to spend doing this stuff, so I have a pretty lazy approach that I follow. So if you're somebody that's looking for something ultra technical, this probably is not for you, and you'll be one of the people in the comments that's telling me I'm doing this wrong, but whatever, man. I enjoy it. This is the way I do it. So if you're looking to just get into this hobby and have a little fun and not be mind blown by all the technical stuff, then I'm your guy. I can help you get started. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to process M51, and I'm going to show you kind of the ins and outs of how I do that, and I'm going to start out by stacking the thing in Deep Sky Stacker. Now, I'm a Mac user, and I'll be a Mac user for the entire time I'm alive, so I use Parallels Desktop, which is an emulator for Windows, because some of the software for astrophotography, unfortunately, just is what it is. It is pretty much strictly PC, but I like to have the best of both worlds. So I'm going to open up Deep Sky Stacker. This is a free download you can get, and it's incredible. So we're going to open that up, ultimately, and we're going to say, all right, I'm going to open my picture file. So there's a bunch of stuff on the left here. There's all kinds of settings, and depending on what you're doing, you may have to change some of those depending on the kind of camera you're using. Like if you're using a one-shot color camera versus mono, there's some changes in there. I'm using one-shot color, so that's what I'm going to show you. I also don't shoot dark frames because my camera is super duper dark as it is. I exclusively use flat frames for calibration. Some people think I'm totally out of my mind, but it works for me. But you know what? I also polar align by eye. Even though I have the tools to do it with technology, but it just, I find that I spend way more time and don't get better results. So I eyeball it. All right, so we're gonna open our picture files first. Now I've got these specially held over here for you. I've got my lights and flats. So when I take these off of my ASI Air Pro, or Plus rather, I stick the TIFFs into light and flat for a given object on a given date. That way later on, if I want to restack them, I have everything I need. But whatever filing system works for you. So we're going to go to the light frames, and I'm just going to take them all. These are fit files that come out of my ASI Air Plus. So we're going to open those up here, and then I'm going to go back into the same place, get my flats for the Whirlpool with Edge. All right, I'm going to take them all. This was over the course of several nights, so it was like February 6th, 9th, and 10th that I did this, so I had to take new flats every morning. I don't know what that means, but I think I got all the flats in here. Yeah, it looks good to me. All right, so now one thing it doesn't do is check everything. So I'm going to check all these, literally check mark all the boxes here. And what it's going to do is I'm going to register and check, register the checked pictures. Some people register, then they go back, they remove some. What registration does is it gives everything a score, basically. It looks at it and says, how many stars can I see? What does the background darkness look like? A million other things. When I wake up in the morning after a night of imaging, the first thing I do is I go into my ASI Air Plus and I look through every single image, and I just take anything with a jet flying across it or a satellite or clouds, and I just delete it. So that when I get to this phase, I don't have as much of a problem. I still let it run its registration process, and then this is normally around 80%. So I check her, I stack. So what it's going to do here is it's going to say, okay, do you want to register pictures you've already registered? I had that checked because I was doing something earlier that don't worry about it. But this is what it will look like when you start. Leave it all the way it is. It's going to give you a message here that says, hey, you didn't add your dark and offset bias frames and all that. I didn't. You're right. So I'm just go ahead and fire this up. And it says here we've got 14 hours and 20 minutes of total exposure time. It's pretty wild. It's got a standard 2-time drizzle set up, and it's going to go ahead and fire it. This thing has 2 processors in it, so it's just telling me a bunch of information. So this is a custom MacBook that I had built last summer because I was feeling like my old one couldn't handle it. So I'm going to just go ahead and click OK. That's literally all there is to it. And we're just going to let this thing run. And at the other end of it, we're going to have a TIFF file that we can use. And there we go. So it's stacked something together for us. Doesn't look like much. But you can see it'll kind of like just frame by frame it, show you. Ooh, we got some stacking artifacts around the outsides. That's okay. We're going to be just fine with that. It's looking good. Coming together. And so this is the file that we're going to use to actually process our image. It's going to be a TIFF file. It auto saves it back to wherever you got your light frames from. And so that's basically it for this video. This is just how to use Deep Sky Stacker at a rudimentary level, just to get you started, because I know when I first got into this, I was like, what? I have no idea like what's going on here. So the next video, I'm going to actually show you how to process this exact image that we just took. So if you want to click to the next video, that's what you're going to see. All right, take it easy, buddy.